Welcome to the Let's Stay Healthy radio show, sponsored and brought to you by Montana Harvest Natural Food Store in Billings, Montana. If you don't spend time on your wellness, you're going to be forced to spend time on your illness. Your health is your most valuable asset. Invest in it by tuning in now.
Welcome everybody to Let's Stay Healthy. Michael Ray here with you from Montana Harvest. I'm here with Kimmy Ohhira from Montana Harvest, and today we have a special guest, Ross Pelton from Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics, and he's going to be talking to us about their new products. We're excited about that. The Regative, I don't know if that's right, but I saw a video where you were talking about it. So that's going to be interesting, and we're going to really get into some good questions here. Welcome aboard, man.
Thanks. Appreciate the opportunity of being on your program and sharing some important information with all your audience.
Yeah, so maybe you can open up with a little bit of information about you. This isn't the first time you've been on our show. It's the first time we could see you.
Yeah, well, I started out, my original career was in pharmacy. Counted pills in drugstores for a lot of years, but along the way, I got interested in health. Actually, I stumbled into a yoga class one day, and I was pretty bored with pharmacy. Pharmacy is one of the most boring, repetitive jobs you can imagine. I mean, you count pills and put them in a bottle all day long. But when I got interested in yoga, I met people who were not only really healthy, ate healthy food and exercised regularly, but they read health books and health newsletters and health magazines. So I started to get exposed to all of this information about health. And with my background in pharmacy and medicine and biology and physiology and anatomy, all of this information about health just made sense, and it's been making sense ever since. And so I started to learn all this new information, and then I started to talk about it, and then I started to teach about it, and I started to write about it. I'm an author of 13 books now. So I've created a career out of health and being a health educator.
Awesome. So how'd you get teamed up with Dr. Ohhira's?
Uh, well, Dr. Ohhira's is imported by a company named Essential Formulas that are based in Dallas. And about 15 years ago, actually, no, it was probably close to 20 years ago, I was in Tampa, Florida, speaking at a health conference. And when I go to these health conferences, I always go through the exhibit hall and see what companies are there and what new products are there. And Essential Formulas had a booth. And I talked to Michael Shore, who founded Essential Formulas, and his son, William Shore, who's now the president of Essential Formulas. They were in the booth. And I learned about Dr. Ohhira's probiotics, and they told me about it, and they talked about this fermentation process and how it's so different than every other probiotic product in the world. And I said, I am a science-based guy. You got to show me the science. So they sent me off with a stack of literature, and on my transcontinental flight from Florida back to San Francisco, I just devoured all this information about Dr. Ohhira's probiotics. And it made sense to me. And at that time, I was teaching a series of seminars nationally. About every 6 or 8 weeks, I would get flown to a different city and teach a seminar to people that were trying to get certified as certified clinical nutritionists. So I would teach a weekend seminar all day Saturday and all day Sunday to a group of 50 or 70 or 80 pharmacists and physicians and osteopaths and chiropractors and nurse practitioners. And when I learned about Dr. Ohhira's probiotics, I started teaching about it. I had a section in my seminar about the gut and digestion, and so I started talking about this new product. And after I would teach a weekend seminar, the office in Dallas would start getting, over the next several days, calls about people who wanted to open a new account. And they started asking, well, how did you hear about us? And they said, well, I just took this seminar from Dr. Ross last weekend. And so after a couple of years, they reached out to me and asked if I'd be a consultant with them. And so I worked with them as a consultant for several years. And then after, let me get rid of that alarm here. After several years, Michael Shore called me and he said, "I'm sorry, we're going to have to discontinue your consulting contract." And I said, "Well, I'm sorry to hear that. What's wrong?" And he said, "Well, we'd like to invite you and your wife to come to Dallas, and we'd like to hire you as full-time as our director of science and education." So for the last 12 years or so, I have been working with Essential Formulas, and Dr. Ohhira's whole line of products has been my primary focus, and that's allowed me to really become a microbiome scientist. And I've written quite a few papers that have been published in medical journals that I can provide links to you folks so that all your viewers and listeners can have access to the journal articles I've written. There's the microbiome, the malnourished nutrient, the microbiome theory of aging, and just a whole range of articles that I can give you links to. So I stopped writing books and start now in the last number of years. Excuse me for this. Let me turn my phone off here so we don't get any more interruptions. There we go. So I focus now on writing articles for medical journals. That's gives me a little broader audience, and books take a long time to write and they're big projects. So I'm now do medical journal more frequently.
Well, now that you're a microbiome scientist, what are you seeing with the gut-brain axis and with individuals' microbiome and what disrupts it in your findings?
Well, this is one of the most exciting health discoveries and new frontiers in health that I'm aware of. I wrote a paper called The Microbiome Theory of Aging, and it talks about how your gut is really your second brain, and it really controls a great deal of your health. You talked about the gut-brain axis. There's also the gut-heart axis, and the gut-liver axis, and the gut-kidney axis, and the gut-skin axis, and the gut-muscle axis. The What happens is that your beneficial bacteria digest components in the food you eat, and they produce secondary compounds that we call postbiotic metabolites. And this is really a critical concept for people to understand because it's not the beneficial bacteria that regulate your health directly. It's the compounds the beneficial bacteria create, these postbiotic metabolites. They regulate the whole gut microbiome ecosystem. They regulate your immune system, and these compounds that the bacteria create get absorbed systemically and regulate every single organ system in the body. So these are master health regulating compounds that are absolutely critical for people's health. And most people are very inefficient at making these compounds. The reason Dr. Ohhira's probiotics is such a game changer is that Dr. Ohhira created a multi-year fermentation process that results in the production of over 500 of these postbiotic metabolites. And so taking these postbiotic metabolites orally provides these compounds that we're supposed to be naturally making, and it just gives people a very quick reset for their gut microbiome.
Wow. Can you go over the process a little bit on how they and the difference between most probiotics on the
Sure.
market?
Most probiotic companies take one or several strains of bacteria and just stuff them into a capsule and you take them orally. I maintain that most orally ingested probiotics don't work very well for several different reasons. First reason is that the acidity in your stomach is anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000 times stronger acid than the acidity in the small intestine and the colon. Stomach acid is the front line of your immune system. It's designed to kill bacteria and other harmful things that you ingest. And so most orally ingested probiotics get decimated when they come into contact with stomach acid. And then beyond the stomach, the small intestinal environment is also a very unfavorable environment for bacteria if they make it through the stomach, because you've got bile acids and digestive enzymes, which are also very harmful to probiotic bacteria if they reach it that far. And then the third factor, which I think is really critically important, even if you take, for example, liposomal or enterically coated probiotics, and so they make it through the stomach and they get down through the small intestine when they reach the colon. And I want to emphasize the colon is the site of your microbiome. Over 99.9% of all the bacteria that live in your gastrointestinal system reside in the colon. So that's the site of the microbiome. And if bacteria reach the colon, the types of food that your beneficial bacteria require are dietary fibers and polyphenols. Polyphenols is a huge class of compounds in organic fruits and vegetables and other foods. And so there's over 8,000 polyphenols that have been structurally identified. And most of them are massively large molecules, so we don't effectively digest and metabolize polyphenols very well. They pass all the way through your digestive tract, and when they reach the colon, they're the food for your probiotic bacteria. Same with dietary fibers. Humans don't have the enzymes that allows us to digest dietary fibers, so they pass all the way through your digestive tract, and when they reach the colon, they also are food for your probiotic bacteria. So the thing I emphasize to people, you have to feed your probiotic bacteria well, or they won't thrive and survive. And with people relying so much on processed food and sugar and junk food these days, the colon is like a food desert for probiotic bacteria. When they arrive there, they don't have access to dietary fibers and polyphenols. And there's two things I want to emphasize about diet. Diet is the primary thing that regulates your gut microbiome. If you feed your bacteria well, they will grow and thrive and proliferate and produce these postbiotic metabolites. But it's quantity, the amount of polyphenols and dietary fibers that you consume. But the other thing that most people miss is diversity. You have to consume a lot of different types of fruits and vegetables every day to get a diversity of these dietary fibers and polyphenols. I do an analogy between your gut microbiome and the Amazon rainforest, two of the most complex, diverse microbiomes on the planet. In the Amazon, there's thousands of different species of insects and birds and mammals and all these different animals. They have different types of DNA. They require different types of food. Your microbiome is 3 to 5,000 different species of bacteria. If you have a healthy gut microbiome, those bacteria have different DNA. They require different types of food. And most people only eat one or two fruits or vegetables a day if they eat that much. And in Dr. Ohhira's multi-year fermentation process, they use 14 different types of fruits, vegetables, mushrooms, and seaweeds, a wide diversity of these vegetable plant-based compounds that provide the diversity of polyphenols and dietary fibers. And so it's critical that people consume a diet that has a diversity of these plant-based foods, and most people don't. But Dr. Ohhira's is doing it for you. He created an external fermentation system that mimics the natural fermentation that takes place in the gut microbiome in the colon. So kind of a long-winded answer there, but that's how this whole system works.
And is it something that needs to be refrigerated for the listening audience? Is it shelf stable? And when is the
Great
best
question.
time to
Yeah.
take it?
Yeah. Dr. Ohhira's probiotics and all these postbiotic metabolites are shelf-stable. So they don't need to be refrigerated. It's throw it in your suitcase and travel with it. Take it every single day. And it doesn't make any difference when you take it. It can be full stomach, empty stomach, breakfast, lunch, and just get it in every day to give your whole body this microbiome boost so you get these postbiotic metabolites that set your immune system and regulate digestion and all the multiple wide range of other things they do. Many of these postbiotic metabolites are antioxidants. Many of them are neurotransmitters. A really critical aspect of these postbiotic metabolites, many of them are weakly acidic compounds. The optimal ecosystem for your microbiome is weakly acidic. Its acid base is measured on the pH scale, goes from 0 to 14. 7 is neutral. Anything below 7 is acidic. So an optimal gut microbiome is a pH of about 5.8 to 6.2 or somewhere in there, weakly acidic. So my question is, how do people create, how do people maintain this weakly acidic environment in the gut microbiome? It's all these weakly acidic postbiotic metabolites like short chain fatty acids. There's acetic acid and propionic acid and butyric acid. Then there's organic acids and nucleic acids and amino acids and fulvic acids. All of these acidic postbiotic metabolites create and maintain this weakly acidic environment. Dr. Ohhira's probiotics has over 100 weakly acidic postbiotic metabolites. You're just getting a super dose of things that will correct this gut microbiome ecosystem. So then your own innate bacteria can start to grow and proliferate. People have the wrong idea thinking in fact, let's introduce the term dysbiosis. Dysbiosis is a term that denotes bacterial imbalance. Too many bad bacteria, not enough good bacteria. So what's a healthy gut microbiome? A healthy microbiome is about 85 to 90% beneficial bacteria and only 10 to 15% potentially harmful bacteria. I say potentially because when they only exist in small numbers, these bad bacteria generally are not causing problems. But if you get out of balance, too many bad bacteria, not enough good bacteria, you've got dysbiosis. That's when the health problems start. The bad bacteria create inflammation. You get gut inflammation that breaks down the gut lining, so harmful things start to leak into your systemic circulation, and that's called leaky gut syndrome or intestinal permeability. And so I'm not sure where I was going with this train of thought now. I was explaining this whole process of dysbiosis, but here's the thought I wanted to get in. Most people mistakenly think that if they have gut problems and they have dysbiosis, they think they can correct that by taking high dose probiotics orally. That generally doesn't do the job because, as I mentioned, stomach acid is 10,000 to 100,000 times stronger acid than the acidity in the small intestine and the colon. What you have to do is eat a healthy, diverse diet so you can promote the growth of your own innate bacteria so they can thrive and survive and start to produce these postbiotic metabolites for you.
We have two more questions. Is
Yeah.
Dr. Ohhira's okay to take with an antibiotic? Because that's a big question that people have when
Good
they.
question. Thank you for that. Um, my suggestion for people taking antibiotics, take Dr. Ohhira's, but don't have them in the stomach at the same time. So wait several hours after your dose of the antibiotic to take a dose of Dr. Ohhira's probiotic. But then after you finished your course of antibiotic, I suggest that people take a high dose of Dr. Ohhira's for 10 days or 2 weeks to really accelerate the regrowth of a healthy gut microbiome. So the recommended dose for Dr. Ohhira's is 2 capsules once a day. And people say, do I take them together? Do I split them up? It doesn't make any difference. Just get 2 capsules in every day. But after you've done a course of antibiotics, I suggest at least doubling the dose to 2 capsules twice a day. Some people will take 5 capsules once or twice a day. It gets a little pricey, but depends on how your commitment to good health. That first 10 days or so after you've taken antibiotics, you've wiped out everything. And if you don't really promote the regrowth of a healthy gut microbiome, the good and bad bacteria can regrow at an equal rate and you end up being out of balance. And then you've got dysbiosis, gut problems, and gut brain problems, and all of that.
Another question I have for you, does Dr. Ohhira's, you mentioned these acids, does it contain fulvic acid?
Yes, the largest single component in Dr. Ohhira's are the fulvic acids, and fulvic acids are fascinating compounds. Thanks for asking that because it's really an interesting topic. Fulvic acids are nanoparticles. They're extremely small, And yet fulvic acids have the largest number of binding sites per molecule of any molecules known in nature. So one molecule of fulvic acid can bind to 60 or 70 different minerals. And in doing so, because they're nano-sized particles, they help the absorption of these minerals across cellular membranes, either into our bodies, and the main place fulvic acids work is in the soil. They're created when bacteria break down organic matter in the soil, and then in the soil, these fulvic acids complex with the minerals and carry the minerals into plants so that plants receive the nutrients they're supposed to get. And now we've got the whole planet is being sprayed with glyphosate and other pesticides and insecticides that are killing the microbiome in the soil on planet Earth. It's one of the most serious health problems in the history of humanity. There you go with that one.
Well, we're big fans of fulvic acid and trace
Yeah,
minerals. Yeah.
and I was surprised to learn what a large component of Dr. Here's are fulvic acid. I think that's part of the benefit of Dr. Here's probiotics is that the fulvic acids are complexing with the minerals and helping us absorb our minerals.
Talk about that, the new products that you have come out with, the reactive. You have the immune vitality, the detox liver, and then the cardio wellness. What's the basis of that structure for the body?
Okay, so these are the Reg Active formulas. There's cardio wellness, immune and vitality, um, detox and liver health, and the fourth one we came out with is called Essential ME3. The first three of those formulas have some other accessory nutrients along with the ME3, and I should say ME3 is Lactobacillus fermentum ME3. It's a strain of bacteria that synthesizes glutathione. And I wrote a paper titled The Glutathione Theory of Aging, which I can give you the links for your listeners. And I wrote another paper called Lactobacillus fermentum ME3, A New Era and Glutathione Therapy. So glutathione is the master antioxidant. It helps protect every single cell in your body against free radical and oxidative damage. It's also a critical regulator of your immune system. And another thing that many people don't realize, glutathione has powerful antiviral activity. There was a paper published at one time back, I think, in 2020 that said low levels of glutathione is the most likely cause of severe manifestations or death from COVID. So it's a
Really?
critical regulator of your immune system. So, and I want to tell our listeners these Reg Active formulas, these four different formulas that we have with Lactobacillus fermentum ME3, they've been out of stock for a while because we had the sole rights to import this from Europe. And last year we decided to stop depending on the European import process. So we started the process for getting this whole product line manufactured in the United States. And we ran into some problems with that, so it's been delayed, but we now have the Essential ME3 back online and available in stores and online. And the other three formulas, the cardio wellness, immune and vitality, and detox and liver health, will be available hopefully within the next couple of months. So we'll be getting our glutathione boosting supplements back online. And the thing I want to emphasize to all of your listeners is that these res active formulas with Lactobacillus fermentum ME3, this is the most effective way to boost your glutathione levels there is, other than a direct intravenous glutathione, which you have to go to a doctor's office to get and costs a significant amount of money and takes a fair amount of time. This you can just take one of these capsules every day, and this bacteria, we call it ME3 for short, it's acid stable. They've shown that it successfully survives transit through the stomach. When it gets into the small intestine, it adheres to the lining, it starts to proliferate, and it produces glutathione 24 hours a day, 24/7. And people say, well, do you have to keep taking it? Yes, you do. If you take it for a while and then you stop, within 7 to 10 days, your glutathione levels drop off again. But glutathione is such a critical factor for healthy longevity. I think people should take this as one of their primary go-to supplements for health and longevity.
I think that's amazing that you guys have come up with probiotic that can increase your glutathione. I mean, that's like amazing.
Yeah, I agree. It's a game changer, and both Dr. Ohhira's and the Raj Active formula are really they're not directly competing with other products on the market because they're so different and so unique. They're standalone products. We just have to educate people about why they're so important and how they work.
Well, and it's interesting because your glutathione is produced in the liver. So how does this specific probiotic work with the liver?
The ME3 produces the glutathione in the gastrointestinal tract and it gets absorbed systemically. And one thing I want to emphasize is that your gastrointestinal tract has hundreds of millions of little villi, which where food is absorbed, but those are have a great deal of metabolic activity. So they're susceptible to free radical damage, and having more glutathione in the GI tract really helps protect the gut lining.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So does it interfere with your own production of glutathione, or how does all
No,
that play out?
doesn't interfere with your own production of glutathione. And there's good studies that document that after about age 30, our biosynthesis of glutathione declines significantly year after year after year. So by people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s are making very little glutathione. And there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one is that pesticides and insecticides and other environmental toxins are at the highest level they've ever been in the history of humanity. And glutathione's job is to detoxify these things. So glutathione's constantly getting used up at a faster rate because of our exposure to all these environmental toxins. Stress is a big factor, and many people live with a high level of stress. And the other thing is people don't consume adequate amounts of protein, especially as we age. People tend to eat less as they age. Elderly people consume less than younger people. And as you age, you should ingest more protein rather than less protein. And proteins are the source of amino acids, which your body uses to synthesize glutathione.
Let me ask you a question because we were talking about this earlier, me and another guy at the store, and people get these mindsets as they age where they quit eating their protein, they quit eating their fruits and vegetables, and they take on this mindset. So what do you think is really causing people from not staying healthy and not eating their protein? Because it's a big deal with me about protein.
Well, number one, there's a great scientific discussion going on right now
Yes.
saying that the US RDA for daily protein intake is set way too low. So the government recommendation to begin with is way too low. And I think it's 0.8 milligrams of protein per kilogram of body weight, which is you have to convert into pounds, and many people don't understand what that means. But the scientists are saying instead of 0.8, it should be around 1.2, about 50% higher. So the recommendation is too low. And on top of that, as I mentioned, people as they age are eating less, consuming less protein instead of more protein. And also, a lot of the sources of protein are not too healthy. These animals are raised on feedlots where there's thousands and thousands of animals just with almost no room to move, and they're pooping and standing in their own poop for 3 or 4 months before they get slaughtered, and they're fed an unhealthy diet that fattens them up as fast as possible. That's not healthy food to eat. So I just emphasize that should be not only grass-fed protein, but grass-fed and grass-finished, because a lot of the animals that are grass-fed are just sent to feedlots for their finishing for the last 3 or 4 months, and they get fattened up on grain instead of eating grass. And so grass-fed and grass finished healthy protein or wild-caught fish, important things for people to focus on.
What do you think about some of these grass-fed protein powders? They're pretty clean. I mean, do you ever use any of those, or what do you think
I
about
I
them?
do use them myself. I since I in my latest book, which is on the topic of rapamycin, I did a whole chapter on protein and protein supplements and emphasizing that people need to start consuming more protein. Since I did that study and wrote about that in my book, I now try to do a protein smoothie every day to supplement my protein intake.
Awesome.
I have one more question about the glutathione because I mean, for years now, we've been told in the health and wellness industry that oral supplementation of glutathione is it doesn't absorb well, and it's the wrong form of glutathione that can actually cause or increase more oxidative stress because it's not the reduced form of glutathione. And so they say sublingually under the tongue or intravenous, like what you talked about, having
Yeah.
to go and have a doctor administer glutathione. So this is the reduced form of glutathione, but you've discovered a way of
Introduced. Yeah.
taking an oral capsule that helps your body produce the glutathione. Am I
Not
understanding that
helping your
right?
body produce it's the bacteria that are
Oh,
producing it.
okay.
So, but you're right. Oral glutathione is not well absorbed. There are sublingual, there's intranasal, there's some topical ones that do fairly well. But here's we've got human clinical trials on Lactobacillus fermentum ME3. People taking this got a 49% increase in the ratio between reduced to oxidized glutathione. Reduced is the active form, oxidized is inactive. No other product in the world has ever come close to getting this kind of an increase in the ratio between reduced to oxidized glutathione. 49% increase. So that's a huge marker. People taking ME3 also got a 16% reduction in oxidized LDL cholesterol. LDL cholesterol is not the bad guy. It's when it gets oxidized that it becomes a deranged molecule that can damage the vascular system. So you're reducing your cardiovascular risk, you reduce free radical damage, and these people taking ME3 also got a 26% increase in total antioxidant activity. So the extra glutathione that's being produced by the Lactobacillus fermentum ME3 doesn't just boost your glutathione levels, it also boosts vitamin C and vitamin E and CoQ10 because if glutathione neutralizing some of the free radicals, then these other antioxidants are not getting used up as fast. So powerful story with Lactobacillus fermentum ME3 and the Reg Active formulations from Essential Formulas, and that's spelled REG apostrophe ACTIV, which is an acronym for active regeneration.
That's interesting. Well, I
Yeah.
just want to let the listening audience know we don't have these products in yet. And it sounded like you had some out of stock issues with it. So we will try to bring them in as soon as they're
Yeah,
available
the
to us.
essential ME3, in fact, a little bit more information. I mentioned cardio wellness, immune and vitality, and liver and detox all have some other accessory nutrients in each of the formulas. But after we had this product line for a number of years, a bunch of functional medicine docs and naturopaths came to us and said, we want a product that just has the ME3. So we came out with Essential ME3. That is back in stock now. You can order it for your stores
Take 10.
yeah. And for yourselves. I mean, I take it every single day.
Yeah, I'd like to really try it, so
Mhm.
I would definitely order it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. Well, one of the products that I'm excited about that we do have in store is your beauty bar, the soap.
Kampuku Beauty Bar.
Yeah.
Right.
How do
It's
you
a
say it?
one Kampuku.
Kampuku.
Yeah,
Okay.
Japanese name, but Kampu Beauty Bar, and it's made with natural natural seeds and natural flavors. It's a great cleanser, but the thing I like to emphasize about Dr. Ohhira's skincare products is that they contain some of Dr. Ohhira's paste from the fermentation process, which again contains all of these postbiotic metabolites and especially these acidic postbiotic metabolites. Your skin is covered by a thin film that's called the acid mantle. the pH of your skin is weakly acidic, just like the optimal pH for your gut microbiome was weakly acidic. And so when you take or you when you use Dr. Here's Kampuku Beauty Bar, you're helping to support your skin microbiome with these acidic postbiotic metabolites and some of the other uh, postbiotics that are antioxidants, and there's a whole class of postbiotic metabolites called antimicrobial peptides. They're natural antibiotics that your bacteria naturally produce, so it's an important part of our immune system. So applying these things, the Kampuku Beauty Bar as your soap or cleanser is helping to support and maintain a healthy skin microbiome, whereas most of the soaps and cleansers, your skin stripping off your skin microbiome. So that's a big difference here. And there's two other Dr. Hero skincare products. I don't know if you carry them, but in addition to the Kampuku Beauty Bar, there's the Hadayabi and also what's the third? Moguruku. There's a couple of Japanese tongue twister names, but these are skin moisturizers. And when I do conferences and we've got a booth, I get people to just try a little dab of these skin moisturizers and rub it on their skin, rub it on their face. People fall in love with them because they're just so smooth and so moisturizing. And so, but the Kampuku is comes in two sizes. It's a regular soap bar size. Also comes in tiny little sample sizes, which is wonderful to travel with.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. One of our reps stopped by and dropped one off, and I'm like, oh, I've been wanting to try this, and then immediately we had to bring it in the store.
Yeah, good. Good.
Yeah, it's very silky and smooth. But that's the thing about, yeah, people don't realize that they have bacteria on their skin, and maybe you can go into this with the hand sanitizers and what that does to the microbiome.
Yeah, you're killing bacteria, which means you're killing your good bacteria, and every inch of your skin is covered with bacteria. There's over 1 million bacteria per square centimeter of skin, and you want to support that healthy population of bacteria rather than stripping it off all the time. So, and I encourage you to also call Essential Formulas and have them send you some of the little sample sizes of Mokuruku and Hadayabi skin moisturizers and start having people in your stores give these little samples or just squeeze a little bit out. People will fall in love with it.
Do they all carry a little bit of the Dr. O'Hara's
Yes,
probiotic?
they
Ah,
all have Dr. Here's in it. It's Dr. Here's skincare line. Yeah, it's Dr. Here's skincare probiotic line.
So you put the probiotics on your skin.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And really, when people try it, they fall in love with it because there's nothing like it. The base of the Moguruku and Hada Yubi skin moisturizers is base that is it's the closest thing to the skin oils. So they get very efficiently and rapidly absorbed. They're wonderful moisturizers. They're very soothing. And also, if you get a cut or a scratch, putting a little of these skin moisturizers on really accelerates the healing because of the postbiotic metabolites in there. Occasionally, I've got a cat that will scratch me if I pick her up and I get a little cut and it starts to fester. And I just put a little of this on and it just heals it right away.
I got a question for you. I know we've been talking about a lot of different things, but I get asked this question a lot from our customers. They want us to explain prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics.
Sure, you
Can
bet.
you give us like a good,
You bet. Well, many people mistakenly call the bacteria in their gut microbiome probiotics. They're not. They're beneficial bacteria, but probiotics are bacteria that are produced commercially that you take orally that can provide beneficial effects. So probiotics are bacteria that provide beneficial effects that are taken orally. Prebiotics are the foods that your probiotic bacteria require. And the best sources of them are fruits and vegetables. But also there's some prebiotics and some whole grains and nuts and spices have some, but your best sources are fruits and vegetables. And then postbiotic metabolites are the compounds the bacteria create when they have access to the prebiotic foods. And I really want to emphasize it's foods that drive the whole microbiome system. Consume the foods, you'll feed your probiotic bacteria well, they will then produce the postbiotic metabolites. And that's what you're doing when you take Dr. Ohhira's probiotics. It's made with 14 different types of fruits, vegetables, mushrooms, and seaweed. And there's another point that's interesting to emphasize. It takes food roughly about 24 to 36 hours to transit through your large intestine and your colon before it gets eliminated in a bowel movement. So bacteria in your colon have anywhere from 24 to 36 hours to digest the food and turn or convert the prebiotic foods, the fibers and postbiotic and polyphenols into postbiotic metabolites. In Dr. Ohhira's 3-year fermentation process, the bacteria have 26,280 hours with a diversity of foods, which ends up being over 500 postbiotic metabolites. There's nothing in the world that compares to this. And a lot of companies are now jumping on the prebiotic and the postbiotic bandwagon. They'll put one or two prebiotics in their formula so they can, like inulin or FOS, so they can get the term prebiotic on the label. And some of them are even putting a postbiotic metabolite in their formula so they can get the term postbiotic on their formula, on their label. They're missing the concept and the importance of diversity. One or two postbiotics in a formula doesn't come close to over 500 postbiotic metabolites in Dr. Ohhira probiotics. And one or two prebiotic in a formula can be helpful, but you really need a diversity. And Dr. Ohhira's utilizes 14 different types of plant-based foods. And I'll send you folks a link so that all our viewers can see my 8-minute YouTube video titled Ross's Salad Buzz. And in my salad buzz, I teach people how to make a salad. I've got 16 different types of vegetables in my salad. People getting a diversity of these vegetables so you can create and maintain a healthy gut microbiome.
I got an off-the-wall question. What about people that eat like lots of cabbage and things like that? Is that a
That's good. That's one type of vegetable. A diversity, diversity, diversity. You got to eat a little bit of cabbage and broccoli and Brussels sprouts and asparagus and people don't eat like this, but that's what my salad buzz does for people. And but I encourage people to understand the importance of eating a diversity, a little bit of as many different types of fruits and vegetables daily as possible is the way to maintain a healthy gut microbiome.
I feel like for our gardeners that are listening, that the Dr. O'Hara's is like the compost for your garden.
That's a great term, Rita. I love that.
Yeah,
I'm
it's the
going to use
compost
that
for
with your
your
permission. Thank you
microbiome.
very much. That's fabulous. Yeah.
So yeah, you need that diversity, that
Yep.
rainforest for your
Yep.
microbiome. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how you explain the operation in the gut because there's so many different views about it. It makes sense,
And-
the human body, the way it works.
yeah.
Well, and I think it's this is a great time to emphasize the importance of organic fruits and vegetables.
Critically important. One of the problems going on, as I mentioned earlier when we talked about glyphosate and all the agricultural pesticides and insecticides, people are getting trace amounts of all of these poisons in their food. So I strongly encourage people to shop at health food grocery stores and buy organically grown fruits and vegetables and organic, yes. And there, I don't know if you know of Howard Garrett, who's the dirt doctor. He's one of the top organic gardening guys in the world. He teaches courses on it. He'd be a great guy to interview for your program. I'll send you information about
Yeah.
Dr. Howard Garrett, the dirt doctor.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, that would.
Well, and could you maybe go over a little bit what the inorganic products with the pesticide residue and how that disrupts your microbiome? And I think I've read that it can also contribute to leaky gut.
Yes. Well, these pesticides and insecticides not only kill insects, but they also the way they work is they block some amino acids, and so blocking that amino acid cycle means the insects can't grow. And but when you ingest partial small amounts of this, it starts to infect your gut microbiome, and your bacteria can't grow as well, and you absorb these into your system. There's all sorts of problems with this. I think glyphosate is one of the biggest sins against humanity and of all times.
Yeah, we're right there with you. We,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
we did a show on it recently too, because they were trying to become immune to the lawsuits.
Yeah. That really drives me crazy that another rant to go on that these agricultural uh, companies that produce these pesticides and insecticides have immunity. Same issue I have with Pfizer and the companies that make the mRNA vaccines for COVID. I mean, they're immune from lawsuits. Come on, it's bad topic.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I know, I personally know a couple of people that received them and now they have different forms of cancers.
Yeah.
So,
Um, Getting off on a little different
yeah.
topic here, but there's a couple of books that have been written. One's called Canary in a COVID World, and the second one is titled Canary in a Post-COVID World. They are phenomenal books, and I read them and devoured them. They're so interesting. I wrote a review of these books and have hyperlinks to four of the chapters in the books. And I'll send that to you for your listeners. And but my book review that I wrote has been published in a health magazine and two different medical journals.
Mm,
And just encourage people to understand that these mRNA vaccines were not produced in the normal way. They never went through the process of being healthy and effective, and it just that's another whole topic to get into.
yeah. Well, we only have about 6 minutes left, so I don't know if there's anything left that you want to end with.
Well, I just like to encourage people to understand that your gut microbiome is the master health regulating part of your whole body. So I encourage people to be proactive. I mean, these days you have to work at staying healthy. You have to do some extra due diligence to buy organic food, and that even goes into clothing and other types of things. But especially with your gut microbiome, organically grown foods, and take Dr. Ohhira's probiotics to support and enhance your healthy gut microbiome because it regulates every part of your body, not just your gut. And then also we talked about our Reg Active formulas with glutathione, or the Lactobacillus fermentum Me3 bacteria that produces glutathione in your body. That is another master health regulating compound for your entire body. I think virtually everyone except infants would benefit from paying attention to boosting their glutathione levels, and the Reg Active formulas are the absolutely the best and most efficient way to do this on a regular basis. That's my prescription for healthy longevity, along with exercising every day
And protein.
and
Yeah,
extra protein. Yeah, you bet. Extra protein.
one of the things was it the doctor, I want to make sure I understood it correctly. Was it the Dr. O'Hara's for the healthy aging, or was it the other strain, is it MP3?
They're both.
The glutathione for both.
I wrote
Okay.
a paper called The Microbiome Theory of Aging, which
Okay.
talks about how important the microbiome is for a healthy gut, healthy aging process, and that's Dr. Here's Probiotics. Then I
Okay.
wrote a paper titled The Glutathione Theory of Aging, which explains why the RegActive formulas and boosting your glutathione levels are so critical. I'll provide you with the link so that all your listeners have access to these papers and they can do a little more reading about it.
Yeah, that would be great. And
Yeah,
then
you
one of
bet.
the things I found very fascinating about Dr. O'Hara's is for food, was it for food poisoning?
Well, yes. If people get food poisoning, and it can either be from bad food or you're traveling in a foreign country and you ingest bad water, but people will take 5 or 10 capsules all at once. And because it's important to realize that, and let me back up a step here. Dr. Ohhira is marketed in a capsule that is patented that stays hard in the acid environment in the stomach. So it passes through the stomach and then it dissolves in the more alkaline medium in the small intestine and releases the contents in the small intestine. When people have food poisoning, they bite and chew the capsules, squeeze the contents out in their mouth and swallow it so it gets directly into the stomach. And many people report that doing 5 or 10 capsules of Dr. Ohhira's once or twice directly when they are experiencing nausea and vomiting just is a game changer really quickly. And that's actually how Dr. Ohhira got exposed to this product originally. He was traveling, his first career was as an agricultural scientist. And he started a business in uh, landscape architecture. And he was invited to Malaysia to do a big project. And while he was in Malaysia, he got sick. And this Dr. Ohhira's probiotics was already marketed in Malaysia. So one of his traveling companions saw he was sick. He gave him some of Dr. Ohhira's probiotics, and it just cured him like so quickly. He was amazed. So out of curiosity, he learned that this product that he ingested, I misspoke there. It wasn't Dr. Ohhira's probiotics because he hadn't created that yet. But the product that he ingested and he was given in Malaysia was created by locally fermented Malaysian fruits and vegetables. So that's how Dr. Ohhira got exposed to this concept of fermenting fruits and vegetables and the products that get created when bacteria do the fermentation process. So Ohhira went back to Japan, and it took him 10 years to develop this multi-year fermentation process. He experimented with different starter strains of bacteria, different foods to use, and now we have Dr. Ohhira's multi-year fermentation process, 3 years for the original formula and an additional 2 years of anaerobic fermentation for the professional formula.
Mm. Uh, are we allowed the professional formula, or do we have to have?
It's available. You can order it. And,
Okay, well,
and the
we don't have
professional
that one.
formula,
Yeah, we don't.
professional formula is stronger because remember your gut microbiome in your colon is an anaerobic environment. And so 2 additional years of anaerobic fermentation gives the bacteria time to create the anaerobic postbiotic metabolites. So they're both really wonderful products, but the professional formula is a little stronger because it gets 2 additional years of anaerobic fermentation. Then we have a new product, which is Dr. Ohhira's fermented postbiotic concentrate. It comes in little sachets. Let me show you one here. This is the packet here. Here's the little individual sachets. Each one of these little sachets contains the postbiotic equivalent of 5 capsules of Dr. Ohhira's professional formula. So it's a really concentrated dose of the postbiotic metabolites. And we encourage people to consider taking these maybe every 2 or every 3 days. But it's the newest product we've just come out with.
Wow. Well, we are almost out of time, but sounds like Montana Harvest will be bringing in a lot more products from
Good. Call the office.
Dr. Ohhira's. Yeah, we're excited.
And I just want to say I really am thankful for you for doing what you do as health warriors out there, helping all of us get this health information out to everybody who's available.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll be
You're
back
more than
on
welcome.
tomorrow.
All right. Look
Thank
forward
you.
to another episode sometime. Thank you.
Yeah,
Have a
thank
great
you.
day.
You're listening to the Let's Stay Healthy radio show, sponsored and brought to you by Montana Harvest Natural Food Store in Billings, Montana.